going on, everybody? This is TrixX Smash. Welcome back to yet another online Elite Smash match. And buddy, you look incredible today. Just in case no one's let you know, buddy, hopefully you're having a fantastic day. What we do on this YouTube channel is take your comments, yes, the comments from the viewers, and turn your comments into videos and answer your questions. So if you're someone who has a question you want to have it turned into a video, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, leave a comment, and I'll turn it into a video. So today's question is a follow-up question from the video that I put out talking about the dark truth about why you're gonna suck at Smash Ultimate forever. This is a question that comes to us from the Dream Dojo, and his question essentially is, because he kind of gave us a bit of a story, but his question essentially is, what if I am someone who does try extremely hard, and I do practice, and I look at my frame data, and I do VOD reviews, and I do everything right, so I should be progressing, but I'm not seeing results? Is there a possibility that competing in Smash or competing in video games is just not for me? Is there a potential there is a subsection of players in the world who are just absolutely cooked, and no matter how hard they try, they'll never be competitive against basically anybody? And I'll say that this is an interesting question. I was thinking to myself, do I want to shatter his hopes and dreams, or do I want to give him the truth about this question? Which I actually ended up figuring out, doesn't matter what I say, I'm going to be shattering his hopes and dreams. So I'm going to just go ahead and say what has to be said. But before I go ahead and do that, I'm going to give you guys a bit of a backstory and try to broaden your horizons just a little bit. So first things first, I am someone who has 8,600 hours in Smash. I've played as every single character, and I've looked at all the frame data and memorized almost every single thing that possibly is. I've looked at thousands of hours of footage of pro players and VODs and my own gameplay, and I've studied an insane amount of students from mid-level, high level, to even PR in their state. And I could say for one that I have done all the practice and all the prep that would be necessary to become a pro player. But I'm not a pro player. And the reason that I am not a pro player is because pro players, and you guys have to take this in very seriously, pro players have done 3 to 5 times more research and practice and studying and grinding than I have. 3 to 5 times more, minimum. If we take a look at players like Armada, or Zero, or Zane, or Leffen, or HBox, many of these players have been competing for 10 years or more. Many of these even 15 years, I will say. Someone like HBox or Leffen, an extremely long time. So let's just say, for sake of argument, if I have 8,000 hours and HBox, let's say, has 25,000 hours, maybe even 30,000 hours, in what world should you be competitive? In what world should you already be a pro? If you're someone who's looking at their Switch and it says 850 hours and you think that that's a lot, or you have 1,000 games played in Elite Smash and you think that that's a lot, in what world should you be a high level or competitive player? And I want to reference Tony Robbins. And yes, if you don't know who Tony Robbins is, he is a motivational keynote speaker, for lack of a better explanation of who he is. But I will say this is what he talked about in one of his talks or presentations. Many people will put in a bit of effort and expect tremendous results. Here's the problem. If you put in a bit of effort, you'll typically get no results. If you put in some effort, you might get some results, or you might get a slight result. If you put in a good amount of effort, you'll get okay results. If you put in an incredible amount of effort, you'll probably get good results. If you put in a fucking insane amount of effort, you will probably get incredible results. But here's the thing, like I mentioned, most people put in a bit of effort. Your idea of incredible effort or insane effort is not even close to what it actually has to be to reach a very high level. And this is something I used to say all the time, and I say it in sessions as well too, and that is, if you are someone who is a D- student, a D- student is better than an F student. However, it is still a failing grade. It is still a very bad grade. So if you think to yourself, oh, I try so hard, at least I'm not an F student. I know someone who puts in 200 hours on their Switch and I have 500 hours on my Switch, so I should probably be at least competitive or making top 8. It's like, brother, just because you're not an F does not mean that you are now an S. You're not an S tier player because you are doing better than an F tier player. So if you look at these players who have 30,000 hours and you think that you should be anywhere close to them with your 1,000 hours, you are absolutely out of your fucking mind. And this is not even a gaming thing. I will say, if you're someone who looks at someone who is in the Olympics, I will say, as it actually just passed, if you're someone who's in the Olympics and you see these people who have been running hundreds of miles for the distance running, or if let's say it's the 100-meter. These are people who train all day, every single day for years at a time. They have professional trainers, they have the perfect diet, they have the perfect shoes and the tracks and the conditions and all these things, the best training partners for years. And some of these players don't even make it to the podium. Some of these players do not even make it out of their heat, and they train every single day for fucking years. And in their eyes, and many other people's eyes, I will say that they think that they should be winning the whole thing. They think they should win the entire thing, but their eyes are much more open than yours, I will say. But I also want to hint at something else. There are some players who are absolutely God's gift to running. I will say someone like Usain Bolt, for example. He is a player, or a athlete in this case, who I would not say for a single second did not try to get his skills. Of course, he trained just as hard as anybody else, but he is also an anomaly of society. He is not a real fucking human with regards to the size and stature and strength of this man compared to any other sprinter literally in the entire world. And so I'm not going to sit here and say for a single second that every single player or every single athlete starts in the exact same spot, and whoever trains the hardest from that point forward will in fact be the best. There are absolutely players and athletes, or anybody that we're talking about here, there are absolutely players at the very least who start at a higher base level than yourself. But just because that is the case does not mean that you cannot catch up. And so what am I trying to say? I'm saying right now that you might not catch MKLeo, you might not catch Akola or Sonics, you might not catch them, but you can still catch a lot of people. But here's the thing about players like that. Even those players get caught by other players in their echelon. Nobody is immune or unstoppable or impenetrable when it comes to losing to somebody who was once worse than them. So Trixx from Meta Smash, what are you trying to say right now? What are you trying to tell me? Am I cooked or am I not? Am I wasting my time or am I not? I'll say this, and I'll say it once again, because just in case for whatever reason you haven't been paying attention and you haven't learned, your idea of working hard and your idea of practicing a lot and your idea of studying VODs and being in the scene and getting experience is fucking embarrassing compared to what you actually have to do. And I'm not saying that you yourself are embarrassing. I'm not saying that you are not trying, but what you've done compared to what you need to do, compared to the level of competition of what people are currently doing, it's in another dimension. It just is in another dimension. So when you see someone like myself who has 8,000 hours and I'm not a pro player, and you see somebody who has 10,000 hours and they are on the cusp of a top 8 player, then you have to say to yourself, wow, I have a lot of work to do. Not to say that you can't do it, but the work that you've done so far has not even been close to enough. And on another note, I also want to point this out as well too. It's kind of in the same branch of what we're talking about, but this is also super important. If you are someone who's trying to compete and you actually want to win, this is super important. If you're someone who wants to compete and you actually want to win, you're gonna have to use the tools that will allow you to win to the best of your ability. So let me give you an example. And this is something that a lot of Smash players do, which is ruining their mental, and it's ruining their chances of becoming a high-level player or a top player. A lot of players find themselves wanting to win in the way that they want to play. However, a lot of top players and high-level players look at the game and they say, what are the tools that are provided to me for me to actually win to the best of my ability? Whatever those tools are, I'm going to go ahead and use. And I'll give you an example or a little analogy. If you were trying to build a house, but you only want to use a hammer, do you think your house is going to turn out as well as somebody else who is willing to use a skill saw and a ladder and a ruler and any other tools necessary in order to actually build this house geometrically sound and has a strong foundation and has all the necessary components to be called a house? If you say, I don't want to mix cement with a drill and a mixer, I want to use a hammer, well then good luck with that. I don't want to climb the side of the building so that I can put shingles on the roof with a ladder. I don't want to do that. I want to use a hammer. If every single thing that you do, you try to answer in the exact same way, you're going to have a very rough time. I will say in the world of Smash Ultimate, yes, we have 89 characters and you can do a lot of building in your world as far as Smash with a multitude of different tools as far as characters. But the problem is that a lot of players out there want to win in their own way, and they'll use characters that are not serving them whatsoever. So if you're trying to become a high-level player, you have to get over the idea of trying to do it in your own way. If you notice, there are certain characters who have never even been graced by a top 8 at a major or super major. There are many characters, I will say most characters, who have never even been in a grand finals of a super major or a major. And I'll also say this, I think it's about maybe 20% of characters have actually won. I'll actually say probably even less than that. 10% of characters have actually won a super major. And I will say that I don't know all the characters off the top of my head of which have won super majors, but we know for a fact it's characters like Joker, Sonic, Steve, Wario. Like, those are our main culprits right there as far as winning. We got some Roy secondaries, some Wolf secondaries, but not a single Ganon, not a single Pyramithra, believe it or not. Secondaries for Pyramithras, yes, with Spargo and MKLeo, but a lot of these characters have not gotten it done. So if you're someone who's playing a character like Bowser Jr., or I'll say Zelda or Ganon or Incineroar, and you're wondering, why can't I beat the Sonics and Steves of the world, it's because you're using tools that are not serving you. You have to be not only thousands of hours deep in the game, but also thousands of hours in front or ahead of the players who are using these characters that are tools that are serving them so much better and much more fluidly than your character that is absolutely harming your chances. And I will say that there are players out there that if they switched to a different character, they would be absolutely on the map as one of the best players in the world. And I'll say a player like Verminubis, if you don't know who that is, Verminubis was a Ganon player for a long time, considered to be one of the best Ganon players. Him, along with, I think his name was Laqui or Laqui, he was another Ganon player as well too. We also have Peanut, and I'll even say Tilde. These are players who, if they played Pikachu, or if they played Pyramithra, or if they played a character even like Steve, even though I never want to see Tilde given and play Steve, I will say these are players who would be in the conversation of the best players in the world. And it's because their neutral creativity, spacing, and their control with their characters that are hindering them is so good that they are actually competitive at the highest level. And I even know this to be a fact that I was once in a stream of Tilde, and he said, when the next game comes out, the first thing I'm going to do is look at the tier list and pick the best character, because he knows for a fact that he has absolutely been sold up the river by Falco. And I can say this quite confidently with his skill and his tech chasing and his creativity and his ability to just find kills basically everywhere. If he played Pikachu, if Tilde played Pikachu, which he will never do, but if he played Pikachu, he would have, without a doubt, be one of the best players in the entire world. His combo game execution, I'm sorry I'm kind of glazing right now, but he's a fucking demon with Falco. Give him a real character that can destroy you with a up throw, or a back throw, or a dash attack, or a up smash at a shield that actually fucking works. He would be unstoppable because his offstage game is already insane. His combo game is already insane. I know I'm just glazing at this point, but he's one of those players who is trying to build a house with just a hammer. And he's actually done quite well. He's done quite well as far as winning a major. He won a major against Peebnut. He did do that. But this is one of those things where a lot of you guys, if you think that you are absolutely cooked, there are many tools in the game. There are many characters in the game that you could be using, but you're deciding for whatever reason, I don't want to. I want to take the hard route because I want to prove it. I want to be the best duck hunt in Idaho. I want to be the best Little Mac in Arkansas for no reason whatsoever, because here's the thing. If you win a major or a super major or anything like that, the prize pool is not bigger if you use a shit character. It's the same no matter what. But here's the thing, a lot of these players that are getting insane sponsorships and getting all the followers on Twitch and all these things that you guys care about and the clout and the money and all that stuff, they are using some of the best characters in the game. They just are. So before you go ahead and say, Trixx from Meta Smash, I try my hardest, but for whatever reason, I'm absolutely fucking cooked and I don't know if I can actually keep up with these other players. I know for a fact that if you are a younger guy, you probably have very good reflexes, some of the best reflexes, I will say, and that is going to help you quite a bit. But if the reflexes that you have are being accompanied by a character that cannot take advantage of them because their frame data is slow, or their punish game is quite bad, or the character is actually quite slow as well too, you are only being held back by your character. You're trying to build a house with a fucking ladder, which will never work. And so before you start to get too hard on yourself or be quite upset about your performance in the game, or you feel like you're getting basically no results, just try using a different character, try switching up your tools, and don't be afraid to be shameless, because here's the thing. I will say many people harp on Sonics. A lot of people don't like how he plays, but guess what? He fucking wins. He wins a lot of shit. He also has a immaculate jawline, one of the best jawlines I've ever seen. He's a real Chad. He mogs on the entirety of the arena, or the audience, I will say, whenever he's on grand final stage. And a lot of you guys feel quite bad because he's in phenomenal shape and has a great jawline, and also plays Sonic. So you guys are staying mad and staying sad, and he's fucking shitting on most of you guys here, I will say. So before you say that you don't want to play a cringe character because a bunch of fucking soy boys are gonna be upset with you, instead, Think about, do you want to win and be competitive? Fuck what people think and try to win. I will say, use a top tier character and have a great day. Hopefully this answers your question, and I'll see you next time.